how's the year been? Like, has it been a fast year for you as it's moved along?
Yeah, it was fast.
Yeah.
I know it's NHL draft is coming, so there was lots of talk about it, like me and Huge.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when you're trying to prepare for that, like, how do you prepare? You just go play?
Yeah, I didn't think so much.
Right.
Like, I think only the games.
Right.
Like I played so much, but yeah, that's it.
And I heard you're going to go back to Finland.
Yeah, I think I'm coming back Finland after this week. And
will you just get a chance to kind of relax?
Yeah, I think there is like so many weeks times to practice and take some rest.
So the younger Finns like Aho and Laine and different players in the league, do you know them? Are you friends?
Yeah, I know. I practice with Laine and Mikko Rantanen. So
when did you start playing hockey? How does that work at home?
I think I was 6 years old when I was in the team first time.
And did you play like little league?
Yeah.
Right, and the progress. So how are the youth hockey leagues were fun?
Yeah, it was always fun.
Yeah, do you still have fun playing?
Yeah, it's still.
Yeah, what do you have the most fun doing? Scoring?
Yeah, I think scoring. Yeah.
Why not? Somebody's got to do it, right?
Yeah.
So did you have guys that you looked to, Finnish players, or who did you want to be when you were younger?
I think now I like to watch like Matthews and Mikko Rantanen, and when I was younger, Patrick Kane was like my favorite player.
So why was he your favorite player?
I think good hands and good hockey sense. So
yeah, might as well be like him, right?
Yeah.
It's not bad. So you're training now. What will you try and improve on or work on, or what?
I think I need to be faster on the ice and stronger. So that's it.
So I know you scrimmaged today.
Yeah.
How did you feel that went?
I was on the ice like last time in World Championship games, so 1 month ago.
Yeah.
So I think it wasn't like normal.
Right.
But yeah, not bad.
We're now joined by Rangers head coach David Quinn. He joins us from Prospects Camp in Stamford. Coach, thanks so much for joining us. We just heard from Kaapo Kakko. You guys have had a couple of scrimmages now. What have you seen from him so far?
Well, obviously, a lot has been talked about his skill and his vision, and it's certainly showing through over the last few days. He's got the ability to be a special player. No mystery that he was drafted as high as he was. We certainly were ecstatic that we got him, and he's proven us right in these first few days, that's for sure.
I heard Vitaly Kravtsov's had quite a camp and had pretty good scrimmage today as well. Putting on a show?
Yeah, he sure has. Every time he's got the puck, something good happens, and you know he's a guy that's been a highly skilled player all throughout his career, and you know it's very exciting for us. You know, you get all these players in this setting, and you know not just those two guys. There's been a lot of other guys that have shown an awful lot over the last 2 days, but obviously those two guys get a lot of the fanfare and a lot of the attention, and for good reason. I mean, you're probably talking about the two best players in camp so far. They make an awful lot happen. Not only are they skilled, but they have a competitive edge to them, and it's awful exciting this time of year.
Coach, when you take a look at prospects, players that you're trying to develop, you watch them scrimmage, they go through drills, is there anything in particular that you're looking for?
Well, you're looking if their game can transfer to the National Hockey League level. You know, a lot of guys can have success at lower levels, but the things that are allowing them to be successful at that level won't necessarily transfer. And, you know, you're watching how, you know, can a guy play with his head up? Can he make quick decisions? How hard is he around pucks? You know, all the things you're going to have to do to have success at the National Hockey League. And, you know, it's a learning curve too. You know, some guys may not do it, but may have the ability to do that. And those are the things that we're finding out through development camp.
Tell us about Adam Fox and what you're anticipating with him.
Well, I've known Adam for a long time. I, you know, obviously didn't get a chance to coach him in college, but unfortunately had the opportunity to coach against him. And he's a guy that just controls the game. Even here, I mean, he stepped in, and every time he's out there, he has the puck. He dictates the pace of play. You know, the question that everybody asks about him is he going to be able to play at the National Hockey League level come October? And, you know, people talk about his defending. Well, he really hasn't had to defend. To me, the best way to defend is have the puck. And he's got the puck an awful lot. He has a great ability to get you out of your end. There's different ways to defend. I think he's going to have the ability to defend when he doesn't have the puck. But you watch him here and you can see why we traded for him. He's got the ability also to be a special player.
Coach, you have so much young talent. How are you going to ultimately pick a roster?
Well, they'll pick it themselves based on how they play, and I know that might be an old coaching cliche, but it's the truth. I mean, you know, when camp starts, guys are going to have a great opportunity. And as a player, that's all you can ask. And we have plenty of opportunity for these young players, but at the end of the day, their play is going to dictate whether they make the roster or not and how much ice time they're going to get. So, you know, it's an exciting time to be a young player in the Ranger organization because of where we're at, but you also have to earn it. And, you know, I think these guys are fully aware of that.
You know, both teams at the Garden are very young. Obviously, you guys went through that this season. The Knicks did as well. The 2 draft picks that the Knicks had showed up at the Rangers party, had some fun that next night at the draft as well. And you and David Fizdale have had some synergy over the past season. Do you feel that still carrying into this year?
Yeah, we've actually been going back and forth over the last few weeks about how exciting a time it is to, you know, be a coach for the Rangers and the Knicks. And you know, we are in similar situations. I was ecstatic that they got Barrett. I love basketball. I follow basketball. I think they got a heck of a player. He actually texted me after we made our pick. So it's fun to have somebody in the building that's going through exactly what you're going through. We've had some good conversations over the past season. Hopefully we'll both have conversations where we're having a little bit more success and we can enjoy some more wins. But you know, it certainly is helpful to have someone down the hall who's going through exactly what you're going through, regardless of the sport.
Have you guys exchanged notes at all on this stuff, coaching a young team, getting through it, obviously a season that you both had, developing, any of that stuff?
Yeah, it's funny how many conversations we've had in the cafeteria at the training center about some of the problems that we both had coaching a young team. And, you know, we both rely on our own examples, and you know, every now and then he'll have a story that is beneficial to me, or I've had a story that has been beneficial to him. And you know, I know it's a different sport, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of similarities no matter what sport you're coaching. And he and I have certainly found that out over the last 7 or 8 months.
Coach, we appreciate it. You can call me Petey here on the way out if you want.
He didn't earn it.
Did I earn it?
No.
You haven't earned it yet. You're close, though. You're close. I'm going to tell you right now, you're close. A couple more good segments, and you will be called Petey.
All right, Coach. I felt like it was an honest segment and an honest effort. Good of you to join us, and we'll talk to you soon, all right?
Yeah.
Ray, it's great to have you on the show. Do you think there's going to be a lot of action come July 1st in terms of big names changing places?
I don't know if the big names are going to change place, but what has happened over the last, well, I guess it's 3 years, is there's this courting period, the week that we're in now. And so teams are able to get a jump start, talk to guys that they might be interested in. You know, Joe Pavelski from San Jose is flying around, talking to different teams. Maybe the most notable one is Matt Duchene, who was in Nashville, is going to be in Montreal, and he too will talk to a half a dozen clubs as well. So by the time July 1st rolls around, I think people have a general sense of where the big boys go. But as we've seen, once the big boys go, the action happens when players start to sign from team to team. Now, is there going to be enough money? Is there going to be cap room for teams to go ahead and make the moves that they want to? I don't know that that's the case. Both the players in the league, I think, were somewhat surprised with when they came up with the salary cap for next year, that it wasn't going to be as high as they thought it was. Well, that's going to crimp a little bit of team spending as they get into July 1st. But there'll be 50 to 70 players that will move around for sure.
And you know, Ray, you see when teams start making moves to open up space, it's obvious what they're trying to do. And one of them was Nashville making that trade with PK Subban to the Devils. And they've been linked with Duchene, as you mentioned, him being in Nashville. And does that seem like, as we know, we don't know who's going where, but when you think about fit and natural fit, would you say Duchene in Nashville is a natural fit?
I think it's a real good fit. Now, Nashville has some cap issues, and I guess like almost everybody really, but that proceeded the trade to PK Subban to the Devils. They've also got a centerman in Kyle Turris who had just a rotten year last year. He's a good player, but he ran into some injury problems. The year kind of got away from him. He's got 5 years at $6 million left on his contract. If you bring in Duchesne at close to $10 million, you've already got Ryan Johansson at $8 million plus. How much money can you have tied up in the middle of the ice? And so if they're able to sign Duchesne, does that open up a trade of Kyle Turris somewhere else? But Duchesne to Nashville would seem like a fit to a team that lost their way a little bit. 2 years ago, we talked about Nashville as one of the best teams in the league. And, they get bumped out early last year. There seems to be some warts on them a little bit, and they're trying to recalibrate their team as they don't want to lose that window of winning.
Ray, if you were a GM, would you sign Artemi Panarin for $11 million a year over 7 years or whatever the terms are going to be in that neighborhood? Would you make that kind of move if you were running a team?
You know what, Bill? $11 million for almost anybody sounds absurd. I can't quite get my head around it. And I think we have to take it in the context of the cap is about $81.5 million. So now you're going to commit $11 million to one player. And that really becomes the issue for these teams. Before I get to whether I'd sign Panarin, you look at the issues that are going on in Toronto. They've got Tavares at $11 million. They've got Matthews at $11 million. They're going to have Marner, by the time they get him signed, likely will be in the $10 million range. You've got $32 million on 3 forwards. Like, what's the rest of your team look like? It's got to fit under $81 million. I love Panarin. He's going to get 7 years. I think that's indisputable. $11 million seems high for me. But if it's in Florida, Florida also has the benefit of the lower to no state income tax. They can offer him money that gives them freedom on the salary cap that other teams just can't get to because of the way the tax rules are state to state.
You've seen a lot of Kaapo Kakko. Where do you think he's going to fit, and can a Ranger fan expect him to make an immediate contribution next year?
Kaapo Kakko is a fantastic young player. He is big, he's powerful, he's got terrific hands, he's creative. I watched him 7 times at the World Junior Tournament in Vancouver this past Christmas and New Year's, and then another 10 times at the World Championships this past year in Slovakia. I can't think of anything I don't like about him. He's got energy, he's got personality as far as how the people will connect to him. Kakko is a top 2-line player. I would be shocked if he's not at 20 goals this year. And I mentioned to Jeff Gorton, the Rangers GM at the World Championships, I said, you must love where you're sitting in the draft. And he's like, how about that? You just sit there, and whoever New Jersey doesn't take, you get the next guy. New Jersey's got a fantastic player and a terrific kid in Jack Hughes. And the Rangers have hit I don't know if it's a grand slam. It's a 3-run homer anyway with Kaapo Kakko. I mean, he's a fantastic foundational core piece that the Rangers lucked into in the lottery.
The news concerning the Knicks, Alan, Emmanuel Mudiay and Luc Cornet, neither offered qualifying offers.
Right.
That means that the Knicks save cap space because they don't have to do a cap hold for Mudiay and a cap hold for Cornet. That gives them more cap space heading into the weekend.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And really, it's not a surprise. What happens also is, understand, for Mudiay and also for Cornet now, you don't have their bird rights. So if you had an interest, and I do know that there still is mutual interest in Emmanuel Mudiay, depending on what happens through free agency, but they love him. They spent some time with him. He's gotten better since they traded for him a year and a half ago. So the problem now is, though, you'd have to sign him into your cap space. When you have if you offered him a qualifying offer, he stayed a restricted free agent, you still own his bird rights, you'd be able to sign him beyond your cap, but now you can't. So it makes it a little more difficult to keep those players, but you had to do it to make sure you had the space for 2 full max contracts, have that available to you in case you are able to make those offers.
have all the chips available. That's what it's about now at this point. I mean,
everybody around the league. There seems to be too much money and not enough players.
Of course.
Available. Too much money available and not enough players who deserve that money.
I'm coming back. Sign me.
Fernando, you played baseball. Can you play basketball?
This is actually a soccer. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I would love to play
goaltending's not allowed in this sport. You understand that, right?
What I'm really interested in, I mean, we've been talking about some players that they're so dynamic. Kyrie, I mean, a guy that he's so dynamic at his position, I wonder if he creates a mismatch in terms of fit, just because of the demanding of the ball. We have
it didn't work in Boston. We've talked about it.
We have so many players that they've developed into players that they need the ball, they need the shots. Does that create a mismatch of fits?
I think it's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
You know, especially if you're a team that's trying to develop something. Obviously, both teams in New York are trying to do that, so I think it's something that they both welcome and try to figure out, see if they can make it work. What couldn't work in Boston, if they can make it work, you know, with either one of these teams, you know, here in New York, and obviously with LA opening up money as well. I wouldn't rule them out entirely just yet, too. So.
Now, other news here is that Kemba Walker reportedly is on the list for the Celtics. That may be where he's headed. Top of the list.
Top of the list.
Question that you brought up is maybe the Kemba side using that for leverage to get the max deal to stay in Charlotte.
Well, here's the thing. Kemba Walker said somewhere in the middle of the season,
he would take
I'd take less if it helps the team. Right.
Yeah, can't say that. You can never. And now they're going to make you be a man of your word. They're like, did you really mean that? Because now there's some moves we can make. If you take X amount of dollars, might be able to bring in this player, that player.
No, there's nothing they can do.
No, the thing about with that whole situation is, if you're going to take less, it's all right to take less if you're bringing in another player to make the team better.
Right.
But if you want me to take less just to take less for the sake of taking less,
just to keep you from having to spend tax.
Are you kidding me?
Yes.
Why would I do that?
Right.
That makes no sense. I've earned my bird rights. I was all NBA team.
Supermax, by the way.
So I'm all NBA team. Right. So why would I take advantage of getting my Supermax right now? We got to bring in our guy, Tommy Beer, the Forbes NBA analyst. It's always great to have you on, Tommy.
Thanks for having me. Much appreciated.
Definitely, man. Sunday, it all goes down, right? I mean, 6 p.m., finally. It feels like we've been waiting for this moment to see if anything will pop off. But so many names, so many players, a lot of stuff coming out about players, maybe rumors, destinations, all of that stuff. And we'll leave that as that. But what have you been hearing in terms of certain players with free agency and what the plan is or contingency plan is for some teams?
Sure. I think obviously we're going to have to wait until, we still got 48 hours or so left now. We're getting towards the deadline. And I think there's the amazing thing is that I think a lot of players are still undecided. The KD sounds like Kyrie's headed to Brooklyn. That one seems like it's pretty much locked in, but the Knicks certainly haven't given up hope. Kawhi is certainly up for grabs. We just learned out just within the last hour or so that the Lakers have cleared $32 million, so that allows them to have a max cap space. Would Kawhi Leonard consider joining and making a triumvirate, Anthony Davis, LeBron, in LA? So it's fascinating.
Wow.
Very interesting to see.
Tommy, you're here because of your proximity to the grapevine. There are people out there that they want to be in your position. They want to hear the rumors. I need to know, how much misinformation is out there? That has to be a thing at this point. The industry is so massive.
100%. I mean, listen, obviously the teams are looking to improve their rosters this year, but agents are looking to get their clients money, and so when you hear, player X is, team Y is considering throwing a balloon payment at player X. Is that coming from the team? Is that coming from a general manager? Is that coming from an agent? Is that coming from a player's, one of his grouping? So it's very difficult to try to disengage what is actually actual information and what is actually valid information that we're hearing from teams that could play itself out. And again, even if a guy has made up his mind at this very moment, there's still 36 hours, 48 hours to go. Who's to say they won't change their mind in a day or two from now, or when they hear the pitch from the Knicks or the Lakers or whatever the case might be? So it's very difficult. I think it was difficult to predict 6 months ago where Kevin Durant's going to go. I think it's difficult to predict right now where Kevin Durant's going to go. So that's what makes it so fascinating.
You got to protect your reputation, I know, but does anybody get the good stuff, like your close friends, your family?
Well, yeah, my wife, who has no idea about anything. I'm trying.
She probably knows the most.
Absolutely.
She knows where KD's going.
Or she's playing as if she doesn't know what's going on.
That too.
Unbelievable. What's her number?
Can't give that out.
All right. Fine.
So, Tommy, I want to talk about a free agent that no one's really talking about in terms of
Bogdanovich. I thought he had a great year for Indiana, especially once Oladipo went down. He averaged 20 points a game, shot a true 62% from the field. Can you please speak on him? Because I think he's one of the guys that people aren't really talking about at all.
100%. I agree with you, John. I think there's going to be that first block of free agents that go off, and the KDs, the Kyries of the world. There's going to be those mid-tier guys, and I think teams that, the teams that tend to wait a little bit and see, how things shake out, if they can get their hands on one of those guys, I think Bogdanovich, exactly, for the Lakers, who knew shooting would be a perfect fit. Efficient scorer, plays hard defensively. I heard the Spurs are interested in Bogdanovich. He's another name. They need to clear some cap space to get there, but he's one of the guys that's been on their list. I think there's a bunch of other players in that realm. Julius Randle's another guy. I think that's that undervalued, underrated, kind of tier that it will be interesting.
I know you just said the Lakers cleared some cap space. How were they able to do that? Because I know, the Bullock deal was still going to affect them, and no one really was talking about that. So they actually had 19 million instead of the 23 million because of Bullock. Can you speak on that a little bit?
Sure, absolutely. Just came down. Adrian Wojnarowski, the great Adrian Wojnarowski, ESPN just broke it recently. So what they're going to do is they're going to include Mo Wagner in the deal and a couple other small contracts that they had under, salary for next season in the deal with the Pelicans. Wagner's going to get shipped to Washington. He's going to absorb the Wizards are going to absorb that contract. Okay. And Anthony Davis has waived his trade kicker. He's waived that $4.1 million trade.
Okay.
So he waived that. So Lakers are going to enter Sunday, 6 o'clock, are going to have $32 million in cap space. That's about $700,000 short of a max slot. So, for instance, a guy like Kyrie Irving, you say only $700,000. When you amortize that and factor in the annual percentages over 4 years, that works out to about $3 million. So it's not chump change, but they're close enough there where guys say, hey, listen, I'm going to get to play with LeBron, et cetera. Is it Jimmy Butler? One of those guys, I wouldn't be shocked if they decided, okay, give me a little bit less. I want to make a real run at a championship here with LeBron.
Okay. Do you think it'll be a domino effect, Tommy, in terms of when 6 o'clock Sunday comes, you'll see maybe those first-tier guys start to make their decisions or join those teams and make the choice to play for them, and then that domino effect of, okay, now the second-tier guy and the third-tier guys. Will it be that, or will it be a waiting game?
I think that definitely once KD falls and Kawhi falls, those dominoes, you'll see the ripple effects. But the situation is, Kawhi has promised the Raptors they'll get last dibs, so to speak. So he's going to meet with the Knicks. He's going to meet with the Clippers. It sounds like he's going to meet with the Lakers, and he's promised Toronto, I'm going to give you guys the last crack. So either they're going to fly out to LA, or he's going to fly back to Toronto, whatever the case might be. So that's what? Tuesday night, Wednesday morning at the earliest? Yeah. Do other guys wait until those premium free agents fall, or do other teams wait for those top tier guys to fall and the other free agents kind of work their way into the mix, or does somebody else jump at D'Angelo Russell, Julius Randle, Bogdanovich, someone along those lines?
For more great videos from the MSG 150, check out right there. And remember, our show is on Monday through Thursday, 8 to 10:30 p.m. on MSG Network and MSG Go.